So the next fly in our Chironomid series is another beginner pattern. This is the third pattern now. We're going to start getting a little more complicated as we go. But again, this is it's just new stuff we want to introduce. So today I'm going to tie you one of my favorites. It's a little brown. It's just a little brown Chironomid. It doesn't look brown, but when you get it in the water, it looks very brown. And it's how we mix these colors. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tie it on a size 16 again. Size 16 2x long hook. And there is a magic brown bead. Now it's a 3/32 inch magic brown bead. This is what really sets this fly off. You know, when you're looking at all the different beads you can use a variety. You've got golds and, you know, you got these magic browns. You've got blacks, black nickel, gold, silver. Use all the beads because they can really add to it. And the other material we're going to use is actually some midge flex. It's actually stretch flex or midge flex it's called. And again, it comes in a variety of colors. I like this one because it's it's browny, but quite translucent. We've got, you know, the black. We've got kind of a really orangey red color, really red for the bloodworms. This stretch flex or midge flex is really good to create the overbody. And for the rib, you know, again, I like a 0.2 copper wire. So this is actually a gold or copper wire. It's quite, again, a 0.2. It's going to be our only rib, so it's quite thick. So let's get on with the tie, and we're going to start a little more complicated, but I know some people don't like putting on the gills, but we'll start and we'll just do the antron. Again, another way you can do it is to wrap in some little strand of ostrich curl and wrap it up to make the gills, but I really prefer this antron. So we're just going to, and again, just a couple of wraps. That's all you need there. Just tie it down. Cut it off there, and again do a quick whip finish before you bring your bead up. So just 1, 2, couple of turns, cut off your thread, and then bring your bead all the way up. And when you bring it up, just slide it up right to the top, and that will form your gills. And then we're going to cut that to size. Again, just tying behind and get ready for the next step. And I build up a little bit of a base layer there. And cut off the excess. Now, again, as we always do with these, we'll bring it back over the bead and just snip it. And that kind of forms exactly the gill size we want. And it spreads them out too, which is quite nice. Next step is we're going to take our wire, and this will again form our rib a little bit later. You could even put a little bit into the bead right at the front if it'll fit. And then, just put it right in the front, right there, because I like keeping it parallel to the hook. So there it is in, and now I'm just going to pull it and keep it parallel to the hook. And it kind of hides it. It makes the hook a little flatter, the fly, but it keeps it nice and even. And again, I'm just going to go back up here and just now form a little bit of a tapered body, because the next section where I'm going to tie it in is actually near the bend in the hook. So I'm just going to form a little bit of a tapered body here, and then go back to our bend in the hook right there. Now I've got the midge, the stretch flex or the midge flex. I'm going to see how it's kind of square. I'm going to cut it on an angle just so it forms a little point. See, everybody can see that little point. Now I'm just going to tie that in at the very bottom, right at the base in the hook. So the easiest way a lot of times is I'll just hold my thread, hold the thread there, put it over it, and then pull that back to get in position. And I just want it right there on the point, and then tie it in. And again, and stretch it back. Just go back a little bit. And now wrap up and form a little bit more of a tapered body. And finish behind your bead. Now when we wrap this midge flex up, at the very beginning I'm going to pull it pretty tight. I want it to be quite thin, and I want that thread to shine through. Then as I progress up, I'm just leaving a little bit more. I'm laying off the tension. I want it just a little bit thicker up near the top. And if you want it even more tapered, just let off even more pressure, and also you can even go back over it once, but I only like to go over it the once. So as you get near the bead, again, just tie off, pull it nice and tight, and tie off. And again, when you pull it, just to cut it, pull it a bit, and that'll make it real nice and tight to your hook. So now we've got a nice little body built up, and now this body, when I coat it, it's going to shine. It's going to turn a real nice brown. I mean, that is a kind of a glowy brown. You can tell the difference in the thread color. You know, you look at that wood duck thread, it's quite yellow. It's actually a browny yellow, but when you cover it with this material, it forms a really, really nice brown color. One of our favorite brown colors. Now what we're going to do is take our wire and one wrap at the back and then start up forward. And again, about a 6 ribs up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And fish can't count. It really doesn't matter, but you want it pretty consistent. And again, a few wraps and tie off. Now, again, wiggle. Just wiggle it. And that just breaks off nice for you. Oh, they're done. No, that one didn't break off so nice. I'm going to have to cut that. There. I had to cut that a bit. Didn't break off where I want it to. So, now we have the body tied in. We've got the rib tied in. Now what we're going to do is just form a thorax. Now, when I form the thorax on the fly, I want a little bit different color there. So what we're going to do is we're going to whip finish right here. Just do a couple of quick whips. Cut this off. And now what I'm going to do is take some of this, some rust color. I like a little bit darker color to kind of match the bead. So we're going to go from a brown to a little bit of a rust color and then right to our bead. And this really matches up nicely with this fly. So you're just going to tie it in there. And again, you don't want too many wraps. You want to keep it thin. And then what I'm going to do is just whip finish it right there to finish off the fly. And you can see how I've got that nice color differentiation. I've got, you know, a nice gold rib. I've got a brown body, goes to a rust color thorax, a couple of wraps there, and then to that nice magic brown bead. So you got a really good color differentiation. And all I've done is had to change my thread. That's all I've had to do, and wrap the body. Again, I could have left the body in this color, but just wrapping it with something translucent and stretchy like this material really forms that nice brown color. So now to finish off the fly, so, and again, try different colors, like a red body with that color over top. You know, I go with this one a lot of times. That color with a real bright red with that, oh, and it just makes a really, really nice looking chironomid. So now what we're going to do is just coat it. Again, I like to coat all our flies. It's just really nice to coat. And the coating really sets it off too. When you give it a nice UV coat, it'll change the colors, make it a little deeper, and really make it glow in the water. So don't forget, it's a lot of people don't coat them. That's fine. But I really like to coat them. And plus, it makes the fly last that much longer. You know, chironomids can get beat up pretty good. You know, the fish love them. And you can get, usually you get a few fish per chironomid. It's good. But when you coat them, you know, sometimes you can use them all day. And make sure, that's the other big important part here. Make sure you don't have too much on there. You want enough to coat it, but make sure there's not a whole bunch of spots where it's just all really built up. So that's nicely spread out. Now we're just going to hit it with that UV light and to seal it up. And, you know, again, as I mentioned on the intro, this fly here is one of our favorite brown patterns. You know, I tie this in, again, variety sizes, 16s, 14s, and 12s. The big bombers especially, where this fly really gets good, as we've noticed up on Tonquah Lake and Layton. These big bombers come off in the summer, and they're size 10s. They're real big, and they can be outstanding. And this is the color we tie them in. We tie them in the wood duck color. I tie them in the rust color. And these colors for those big bombers, boy, I tell you, when you get in the size 10s, it gets really good. So again, there's a very simple pattern. I showed you how to manipulate colors now with a little bit of a, you know, a stretch flex, mid flex over top of any kind of thread. So again, vary the thread color, vary the stretch flex that you have, vary the beads, and you can create any color chironomid in the size you want just by using those tricks. So hope everybody enjoyed that, and stay tuned. We got some fantastic tires expert tires that have offered to come on and show us some advanced flies a little later on. So you're going to definitely want to see those. To watch all our latest Sport Fishing on the Fly episodes and to order Sport Fishing on the Fly merchandise, head to www.sfotf.ca. And if you would like to book an adventure like this one shown, head to ontheflyadventures.ca and book yourself the trip of a lifetime.